Welcome to Litbit channel. Today we will see Understanding India third unit question answer. What do you mean by the term culture? Culture refers to the shared beliefs, customs, practice, tradition, value, language and artifacts that define a group of people or society. It shapes how individuals interact, communicate and perceive the world around them. Next one, what are oral narratives? Oral narratives are stories, tradition and historical accounts passed down verbally from one generation to the next. They can include myth, legends, folk tale, epics, and ballads, often reflecting the culture, beliefs, and value of the community. Next one, what are the types of oral narrative? The types of oral narratives include myth, legends, folk tales, ballads, epics, and proverbs. What is folklore? Folklore refers to the collective body of myth, legends, tales, proverbs, customs, rituals, and artistic expressions passed down orally within a community. It reflects the value, beliefs, and history of culture or group. Next one, what is a tale? A tale is a short story, often with a moral lesson that is passed down through oral or written tradition. Tales can fictional and they often features human or animal characteristics and are meant to entertain to teach. Next one, what are Indian fairy tales? Give example. Indian fairy tales are traditional stories that often contain magical elements, mythical creatures or moral lesson. Example including the monkey and the crocodile, the tiger and the traveler, and the tales of Vikram and Beetle. What do you mean by the term tribe? A tribe refers to a social group consisting of people who share common cultural traits, language, tradition, and often a specific geographical area. Tribes typically have a strong sense of community and kinship. What are the types of tribe in India? The type of tribes in India include hunter-gathering tribe, agricultural tribe, pastoral tribe, Austrian tribe, and industrial tribe. Each tribe has a distinct way of life, such as hunting, farming, rearing livestock, crafting, or working in industry. What is DNT? DNT stands for Denotified Tribes. There are communities that were previously labeled as criminal tribes under British colonial law but were later denotified and removed from that category after India's independence. What is NCST? NCST stands for the National Commission for Scheduled Tribe. It is a sanctuary body in India that works to safeguard the interest and welfare of scheduled tribes, ensuring that rights, development, and socio-economic empowerment. Next one, give the various government schemes for the tribe in India. Some government schemes for tribe in India include the tribal sub-plan, special central assistance, post-matric scholarship for ST students, tribal development programs, and schemes for providing education, healthcare, and skill development. Next one, what is the myth? Myth is a traditional story that explains the origins of the world, gods, supernatural beings, and cultural practice. Myths often carry profound spiritual and moral significance and are passed down through generation. Next one, what is a legend? A legend is a narrative that is based on a historical events or figures but is often embellished with supernatural or exaggerated elements. Legends typically focus on heroic deeds, moral lessons, or significant cultural events. What are the needs for communicating culture? Communicating culture is vital for preserving and transmitting the core value, traditions, and identity of the society. The fosters a sense of belonging and strengthens community bonds by ensuring that knowledge, practice, and customs are passed down through generation. Additionally, communications of culture promotes intercultural understanding, respect for diversity, and encouraging mutual learning among different communities. By preserving indigenous knowledge and cultural practice, it contributes to the continuity and the social cohesion of the society, ensuring that diverse cultural identity serves and thrives in a rapidly changed world. Next one, give the features of oral narrative. Oral narratives have several distinguished features that make them an integral part of many cultures. They are performance based, often involving dramatic recitation, music, and dance to enhance the storytelling experience. These narratives are community centric, reflecting the value, beliefs, and customs of the community from which they originate. Oral narratives are dynamic and evolve over time as they are passed down through generation, often incorporating new elements while preserving the core message. They frequently use symbolism and metaphors to convey deeper meanings and moral lessons. And audience participation is a key feature. Additionally, these narratives often impact ethical or spiritual teaching, making them an initial tool for educating the community. List out the importance of oral narratives. Oral narratives play a critical role in preserving and transmitting the cultural heritage of the community. They help preserve tradition, customs, and historical events, ensuring that these are passed down to future generations. These narratives serve as an educational tool, imparting moral lessons, social norms, and community value. Oral storytelling also contributes to maintaining a community's cultural identity, providing a sense of belonging and continuity. In addition to their educational role, oral narratives offer entertainment and foster social cohesion by bringing peoples together. They also act as historical records, chronicling the events, societal change, and cultural evaluation of a community. Give the characteristics of myth. Myth are a distinctive forms of narrative characterized by their sacred nature and religious significance. They often provide cosmic explanation, offering insight into the origins of the universe, gods, and the force that govern existence. Myths typically feature supernatural elements such as divine being or magical events and are timeless in nature, transcending specific historical periods. They are symbolic in nature, using metaphors and allegories to impart deeper moral and spiritual lessons. Far more, myths are closely tied to the cultural identity of the community, reflecting the value, beliefs, and worldview of the people who tell them. What are the characteristics of legends? Legends are a genre of oral narratives that are rooted in real historical events or figures, but they are often include exaggerated or supernatural elements. They typically features heroic figures who performs extraordinary feats or overcome significant challenge, reflecting the cultural ideals and values of the community. Legends convey moral lessons often about virtues like bravery, wisdom, and integrity. The events and character in legends are often exaggerated for dramatic effects, making them larger than life. Like myths, legends are passed down orally and tends to evolve with each retelling, adapting to changing cultural context while retaining core themes. Give the characteristics of tales. Tales are short narratives that focus on specific events or lessons and are designed to be easily understood by the audience. They often contain moral teaching that guide behavior with clear and simple structures that consist of beginning, middle, and end. The character in tales are typically relatable wherever human and animals and their actions often reflect universal themes of a good versus evil, wisdom or justice. Many tales incorporate elements of fantasy or magic to captivate the listener imagination. Repetition and rhymes are also commonly used in tales to emphasize key points and aid memorability. List the characteristics of tribe of India. The tribe of India are diverse, yet they share some common characteristic. A strong connection to nature is a defining feature, as most tribes depends on forest, river, and natural source of substance. Many tribes groups speak distinct language or dialects, adding to the linguistic diversity of India. Tribes typically lead simple. Their social structure is often organized around a kinship and clan system, fostering tight knot communities. Tribes also practice collective ownership of lands and resources. Oral traditions such as storytelling and music are central to preserving their cultural heritage, and they are known for their unique art, craft, and rituals. What is PVTGs? Give its characteristics. PVTGs are particularly vulnerable tribal groups, refers to tribal communities that face heightened risk of social, economic, and cultural marginalization. These groups are characterized by low level of literacy, limited access to health care and education, and small populations, which make them particularly vulnerable to extinction. PVTGs are tend to live in isolated and remote area, which can lead to limited contact with the outside world. Their livelihoods often rely on traditional practice such as hunting, gathering, and subsistence agriculture, and their cultures are at risk due to external pressures such as modernization and displacement. Preservations of their cultural identity and the provisions of basic service and crucial to their survival. Differentiate mainstream societies and tribal communities. Mainstream societies or tribal communities differ in various aspects. Mainstream societies tend to be more industrialized and complex social, political, and economic structures, while tribal communities maintain simpler, more traditional way of life. Tribal societies are often organized around kinship with collective ownership of resources, while mainstream society usually have more hierarchical social structure. Mainstream societies are integrated into a national and global economy with nature and often depend on agricultural hunting and gathering for sustenance, unlike mainstream societies that rely more on modern industries and technology. What are the problems faced by tribes in India? Tribes in India face several significant challenges. Land alienations is a major issue, as tribal lands are often taken over by industrialization, urbanization, and encroachment. These communities also face marginalization both economically and socially, and are often excluded from mainstream development. Displacement in another major problem, with many tribes being relocate due to large scale development projects like dams, mining, and deforestation. Access to basic service like education, healthcare, and infrastructure remains limited in many tribal areas, contributing to their continued socio-economic deprivation. Cultural erosions due to external influence, along with exploitation and discrimination, further exacerbates their vulnerabilities. Give the customs and traditions of Indian tribal people. The customs and traditions of Indian tribal people vary significantly from one community to another, but they share some common elements. Festivals are often central to tribal life, celebrating agriculture cycle, nature worship, and ancestral traditions. Rituals and ceremonies, which may include music, dance, and offering to nature god, are key to tribe religious practice. Marriage customs are often unique and may involve ceremonies, dowries, and community participation. Tribal communities also gather for social events, cultural celebrations, or conflict resolution. Art and craft, such as weaving, pottery, and jewelry making, are important aspects of tribe culture. And traditional dress, often made from natural materials, serves as a form of cultural expression. What are the food culture of Indian tribe culture? The food culture of Indian tribal culture is closely linked to the environment and the availability of natural source. Many tribes rely on wild food such as fruits, tubers, roots, and forest produce, which may gather from their surrounding. Grains like rice, millets, and other locally grown crops forms the stable diet for many tribal groups. Meat and fish are also an important part of the diet, especially in forced religions where hunting and fishing are common. Some tribes costume Sometimes consume a fermented food like rice beer, which has cultural significance. Additionally, vegetables and herbs with medicinal properties are often included in the tribal diet, and food preparations tend to be simple with minimal use of spices and preservatives. Next one, what is communicating culture? What are the contexts of communicating culture? Communicating culture is a process of transmitting cultural value, beliefs, and traditions across generation to foster belonging and continuity. Context of communicating culture: oral storytelling. In this idea, transmitting history, beliefs, and value throughout narratives. Rituals and ceremony, that is reinforcing identity through cultural and religious practice. In art and craftsmanship, expressing culture through visual arts, music, and dance. In language, using indigenous language to preserve culture. In media and technology, modern platforms for preserving and sharing culture. After that, festivals and celebration, it's a platform for cultural expressions and social bonding. Elaborate the Indian myth and legends. Myth, sacred stories that explains the origins of the world, God, and moral codes. Example: creation myth in Vedas, gods like Vishnu and Shiva. About legends, historical narratives often exaggerated about heroic deeds or supernatural elements. Raja Harichandra's commitment to truth, Ramayana, Mahabharata. In legends in India are stories based on historical events or figure, often involving exaggerated deeds, heroism, or supernatural elements. Historical narratives often exaggerated about heroic deeds or supernatural elements. Example: Raja Harichandra commit to truth, Ramayana and Mahabharata. Communicating culture by preserving and transmitting cultural knowledge, history, value, and traditions across generation. These narratives are an important medium for sharing the wisdom of ancestors, teaching moral lessons, and refocusing communicating identity. Preserving history, passing down historical events and heroes. In moral teaching, conveying lessons about virtues like honesty and bravery, and cultural identity, refocusing value and customs, helping maintain community cohesion. Intergenerational connections, that is facilitating knowledge transfer between generations, that engagements and entertainment, that providing both entertainment and cultural continuity. How are tribes classified? Elaborated. Tribes in India are classified based on various factors, including their lifestyle, economic activities, and level of vulnerability. Broadly, tribes in India can be classified into three scheduled tribes. In that, scheduled tribes recognized by the constitutions with specific right and benefits. Particularly vulnerable tribal groups or tribes facing isolation, marginalization, and vulnerability, requiring special protections and welfare. Then, nomadic and semi nomadic tribes, that tribes with a mobile lifestyle, facing unique challenges in access to service and land rights. Give the measures to empower tribes in India. Empowering tribes in India requires multifaceted approach that address their socio-economic challenges while preserving their cultural identity. In education and skill development, ensuring access to quality education, vocational training, and skill development program to enable tribes to participate in the formal economic and improve their livelihoods. Healthcare and nutrition programs to address specific tribal health needs. Land right under protection, safeguarding tribal lands and encroachment and ensuring the protections of the natural resource through legal framework including the Forest Right Act. Protections of the land right through legal framework like the Forest Right Act, then social security and financial inclusions through banking and microfinance, and cultural preservation through promoting tribal language and tradition. After that, infrastructure development, better living conditions, political representation through reservation in legislature. What are the constitutional provisions and safeguards for the tribal in India? Constitutional safeguards are Article 15, Section 4, special provisions socially and educationally backward groups including STs. And Article 46 promotes educational and economic welfare for STs. Article 244 and the fifth schedule, that is governs structures and terrible advisory councils for tribal area. Article 332 ensures political representations for STs in legislative assemblies. After that, the Forest Right Act in 2006 safeguards forest dwelling tribes' right over their land. After that, special welfare programs and affirmative actions, including reservation in education, employment, and political participation. What are oral narratives? Oral narratives are stories, traditions, and historical accounts passed down verbally and instead of a written text. Name two examples of India's oral tradition. The Vedic chanting of Vedas, epic like the Ramayana and Mahabharata. Who are the pioneer of oral narratives in India? Pioneer include Valmiki, Vaishya, and saints like Kabir and Mirabai. What role do Kadavachaks play? Kadavachaks narrates epics like the Ramayana and Mahabharata in storytelling session. Name two regional oral traditions. Yakshagana and Bandavani. Then, what are the ballads in oral narratives? Ballads are narrative songs about love, heroism, or historical events like Alga in Bundelkhand. What are the main characteristics of Indian oral narratives? They are performance based, adaptive, communicative centric, and often rooted in religion and tradition. Mention two merits of oral narrative: preserve cultural heritage, teach moral lesson and life skill. State two demerits of oral narrative: risk of distortion or loss of authenticity over time, limited reach due to regional and linguistic barriers. Then, what is the future of oral narratives in India? Oral narratives requires documentation and promotion to preserve them amidst modernizations and globalization. What are myths in India? Myths in India are traditional stories that explains the origins of the universe, gods, supernatural beings, and fundamental truth. They are deeply connected to religion, rituals, and cultural identity. What is creation myth? Creation myths are stories explaining the origins of the universe, gods, and humanity, such as the Samudra Manthan. What are the heroic myths? Heroic myths are narrate the extraordinary feats of divines or semi-divine heroes like Krishna's defeat of Kamsa. Next one, what is the role of symbolism in myths? Myths use symbolism to represent universal truth and convey spiritual or ethical teaching. Mention two features of myths in India. They blend history of fantasy, they address existential questions. State two merits of myths: preserves ancient beliefs and practice, providing spiritual guidance through moral teaching. Next one, what are the types of tales in India? Types includes animal tales, historical tales, moral tales, and fantasy tales. Next one, what is the moral tales? Moral tales emphasize ethical value and lessons as seen in the Chataka tales. Then what is the unique features of tales? Tales have a simple structures with a clear beginning, middle and end, often concluding with a moral lesson. List two merits of tales. They preserve cultural traditions, they are engaging and educational. What is folklore? Folklore is a collective myths, legends, song, proverbs and customs of a community reflecting its cultural and historical identity. Next one, give examples of Indian folk dance. Kathakali, Yakshagana. What are folk songs? So, folk songs are traditional songs reflecting emotion, festivals, and events like Assam's Bihu songs. State two characteristics of folklore. Folklore is a community centered, representing collective identity. It evolves with the times and reflects regional dialects and practice. Next one, mention one merit and one demerit of folklore. Merit strengthens communal bonds, demerits phone to laws in modern societies. Next one, what is the role of proverbs in folklore? Proverbs can encapsulate wisdoms in short, memorable phrases such as unity is strength. Let's we recall the tribal culture. What is tribal culture in India? Tribal culture in India refers to the traditional practice and ways of lives of indigenous communities. What are the different types of tribal culture in India? There are five main types: hunter gathering, agricultural, pastoral, artisan, and industrial tribes. Give an examples of the hunter gatherer tribes in India. The Senchu tribes in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana is an example. What are the agricultural tribes in India? Agricultural tribes like these Sandal engaging in settled and shifting agriculture for their livelihood. What is the role of women in tribal societies? Women plays an crucial role in the economy, social rituals and household decision making. How do tribal communities govern themselves? Tribal communities follow simple governance system with tribal councils enforcing customary laws. What are the key characteristics of tribal culture in India? Tribal cultures are characterized by closeness to nature, oral tradition, and a simple lifestyle. Next one, what challenge do tribal communities face in India? Tribal communities face challenges like marginalizations, land alienations, and lack of access to educate and health care. What is the significance of tribal culture in India? Tribal culture contribute to India heritage, emphasizing community living, nature connections, and a sustainable way of life. Next one, what has the Indian Constitution recognized tribal communities? The Indian Constitution recognizes scheduled tribes and it provides safeguards under Article 15, 16, and 46. What are the efforts made to preserve tribal culture? Efforts include documenting oral tradition, promoting tribal education, and providing livelihood opportunity while respecting their heritage. How do tribal communities express their cultural identity? Tribal community expresses their cultural identity through oral tradition, music, dance, rituals, and traditional art form. What role do festivals play in tribal societies? Festival marks significance, life events, and season changes, fostering unity and cultural continuity. Why are tribal cultures in India important? Tribal cultures maintain cultural diversity, preserves ecological knowledge, and enrich India's national heritage. Thank you, viewers. Thanks for watching this video.